What if everything we see, every star, every galaxy, even time itself, exists inside something else? What if our entire universe isn't a vast expanse at all, but the inside of a cosmic whole? Look up at the night sky. The darkness between the stars feels infinite, doesn't it? Empty, endless, a void stretching in all directions forever. But what if that emptiness is an illusion? What if the space we call the universe, the fabric that holds galaxies, light and time, is not an open field at all, but a chamber, a pocket, a womb carved into something far larger than we can comprehend? Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into a canyon so deep that light itself seems to vanish before it reaches the bottom. Now imagine that canyon has no bottom, that it curves inward, folding space around itself, bending light into spirals that never escape. You would see darkness, yes, but you would also see something stranger, a horizon that pulls everything toward it, a boundary where the rules of reality begin to break down. That is what a black hole is. And what if we are standing not outside one, but inside? The idea sounds impossible, absurd even. But the universe has always been stranger than our intuition allows. For centuries, we believed the Earth was flat, that the sun revolved around us, that the stars were fixed points on a celestial sphere. Each time we looked closer, reality revealed itself to be something else entirely. And now, as we peer deeper into the cosmos, we are beginning to ask a question that would have seemed unthinkable just decades ago. Could the universe itself be the interior of a black hole? To understand this possibility, we must first understand what a black hole truly is. Not the monster of science fiction, swallowing stars and planets whole, but something far more subtle. A black hole is a region of space-time where gravity has become so intense that nothing, not even light, can escape. It forms when a massive star collapses at the end of its life, its core compressing into a point of infinite density called a singularity. Around that singularity, space itself warps, creating a boundary known as the event horizon. Cross that boundary and you are gone, not destroyed necessarily, but removed from the universe you once knew. But here is where it becomes strange. From the outside, a black hole appears as a sphere of darkness, a void where light vanishes. But from the inside, if you could somehow survive the journey, what would you see? Would you see the singularity? Would you see the universe you left behind shrinking into a distant point of light? Or would you see something else entirely? Would you see a universe? This is not idle speculation. It is a question that physicists have been wrestling with for decades. Because when you examine the mathematics of black holes, something remarkable emerges. The equations that describe the interior of a black hole are nearly identical to the equations that describe the expansion of the universe. The event horizon, the boundary of a black hole, looks mathematically like the Big Bang, and the singularity at the center looks like the moment of creation itself. What if they are the same thing? What if every black hole contains a universe, and every universe exists inside a black hole? The idea was first proposed in the 1970s by a physicist named Lee Smolin, who suggested that black holes might be cosmic wombs, giving birth to new universes. When a star collapses and forms a black hole, Smolin argued, space-time doesn't just compress into a singularity. It rebounds, it expands. And on the other side of that collapse, a new universe is born, complete with its own space, time, and physical laws. From the outside, we see a black hole. From the inside, the inhabitants see a big bang. If this is true, then our universe, the one we inhabit, the one we call home, might itself be the interior of a black hole in another, larger universe. The Big Bang, that moment of explosive creation we trace back to the beginning of time, might not have been a beginning at all. It might have been a collapse, the death of something else, the moment when a star in another universe fell into itself, and in doing so, created us. Think about what that means. Every black hole we observe, every dark sphere swallowing light at the center of a galaxy, might contain an entire cosmos, trillions of stars, billions of galaxies, civilizations rising and falling, asking the same questions we are asking now, and we would never know. Because once something crosses the event horizon, it is severed from our reality. It becomes unreachable, invisible, a universe unto itself. And if that is true, then we are unreachable too. We are invisible. We are living inside a cosmic hole, and the universe that created us has no way of knowing we exist. But how could this be possible? How could an entire universe fit inside a black hole? To answer that, we must understand something fundamental about space itself. Space is not a container. It is not a box that holds things. Space is a fabric, a geometry, something that can stretch, bend, and fold. When a black hole forms, it doesn't create a hole in space. It creates a new region of space, a pocket that is disconnected from the outside. And inside that pocket, space can expand. It can grow. It can become as large as it needs to be. From the outside, a black hole might have a diameter of a few kilometers. But from the inside, it could contain billions of light years. Because space inside the event horizon is no longer bound by the same rules. It is its own domain, its own reality, expanding according to its own laws. And if our universe is the interior of a black hole, then the space we see around us, the vast expanse of galaxies stretching to the edge of the observable universe, is simply the interior of that pocket, growing larger with every passing moment. This is not just theory. It is supported by observation. When we look at the universe, we see that it is expanding. Galaxies are moving away from each other, and the farther away they are, the faster they move. This expansion is accelerating, driven by a mysterious force we call dark energy. But what if dark energy is not a force at all? What if it is simply the natural behavior of space inside a black hole? What if the expansion of the universe is the same process that occurs inside every black hole? A stretching, a growing, a slow unfolding of space-time as it rebounds from collapse. And there is something else, something even stranger. When we measure the curvature of the universe, we find that it is almost perfectly flat, not curved like the surface of a sphere, but flat like an infinite plane. This flatness is puzzling because the universe should not be flat. It should be curved, warped by the gravity of all the matter and energy it contains. But it isn't. It is flat, as though something is holding it in balance. And one explanation for this flatness is that the universe is much larger than we can see. So large that the curvature is imperceptible, like standing on the surface of an enormous sphere and perceiving it as flat. But another explanation is that the universe is the interior of a black hole, and the flatness we observe is the geometry of that interior, stretched and smoothed by the expansion of space. If this is true, then the edge of the observable universe, the farthest point we can see, The boundary beyond which light has not yet had time to reach us might not be the edge of space at all. It might be the event horizon, the boundary of the black hole we live inside. And beyond that boundary, there might be nothing, or there might be everything. Another universe, another reality, another set of rules. We will never know because we can never reach it. The expansion of space is carrying that boundary away from us faster than light can travel. It is receding, always receding, like a horizon that moves as you walk toward it. But if we live inside a black hole, where did it come from? What universe contains us? And what lies beyond? To answer that, we must venture into the realm of speculation, where science and philosophy blur together, where the questions become as important as the answers. Because if our universe is the interior of a black hole, then it exists inside another universe. And that universe might itself be the interior of a black hole in yet another universe. And so on, endlessly, infinitely, a chain of creation stretching backward and forward through time. This is the idea of cosmic recursion, universes within universes, each one born from the collapse of a star in the universe above it, each one giving birth to new universes through the black holes it contains. It is a fractal structure, a pattern that repeats at every scale, from the smallest to the largest. And if this is true, then the universe is not a single entity, but a vast, interconnected web of realities, each one nested inside the other, each one unaware of the others. Imagine it. A star collapses in a distant galaxy, forming a black hole. Inside that black hole, a new universe is born. In that universe, stars form, galaxies coalesce, and eventually, some of those stars collapse, forming black holes of their own. And inside each of those black holes, new universes are born. And the process repeats, endlessly, infinitely, a cascade of creation that has no beginning and no end. We would be just one link in that chain, one universe among countless others, born from the death of a star we will never see, in a universe we can never reach. And the black holes we observe in our own universe, the ones at the centers of galaxies, the ones formed from collapsing stars, might themselves contain entire cosmoses, each one as vast and complex as our own. But here is the question that haunts this idea. If we live inside a black hole, what happens when that black hole dies? Black holes are not eternal. They evaporate. Slowly, over unimaginable spans of time, they lose mass through a process called Hawking radiation, named after the physicist Stephen Hawking, who first predicted it. A black hole emits particles one by one, bleeding energy into the void, until eventually, after trillions upon trillions of years, it vanishes completely. And if our universe is the interior of a black hole, then our universe is also evaporating, slowly, imperceptibly, but inevitably. What does that mean for us? Does it mean that one day the universe will simply cease to exist? That space itself will dissolve, taking everything with it? Or does it mean something else? Does it mean that the universe is not a static thing, but a process, a cycle, a rhythm of birth and death that repeats forever? There is a theory in cosmology called the Big Bounce, which suggests that the universe does not end in heat, death, or collapse, but in a rebound. That when the universe reaches the end of its expansion, it will contract, collapsing back into a singularity, and then explode outward again in a new Big Bang. The universe, in this view, is not a one-time event, but a cycle, an eternal rhythm of expansion and contraction, death and rebirth. And if the universe is the interior of a black hole, then the big bounce might be the moment when that black hole evaporates completely, releasing its contents back into the parent universe, where they collapse and form a new black hole, giving birth to a new universe. The cycle repeats endlessly, infinitely, a cosmic heartbeat that has been pulsing since before time itself. But what if the cycle is not just temporal, but spatial? What if the universe is not just repeating in time, but branching in space? What if every black hole is not just a womb for a new universe, but a doorway to a parallel reality, a place where the laws of physics are different, where time flows in another direction, where the very fabric of existence is woven from different threads? This is the idea of the multiverse, and it is one of the most profound and unsettling concepts in modern physics. The multiverse suggests that our universe is not alone, that there are countless other universes, each one with its own space, time, and physical laws. Some of these universes might be similar to ours, with stars and galaxies and planets. Others might be radically different, with no matter at all, or with dimensions we cannot even imagine. And if black holes are the gateways between these universes, then the cosmos is not a single, isolated bubble, but a vast, interconnected network of realities, each one touching the others at the boundaries of black holes. We would be living in one node of that network, one universe among an infinite number, connected to the others through the black holes we observe, but forever separated by the event horizons that divide us. And the question becomes, are we alone in this node? Or are there other universes, other realities pressing against the boundaries of our own, trying to reach us, trying to communicate, trying to break through? There is no way to know, because the event horizon is a one-way boundary. Information can fall in, but it cannot come out. If there are other universes beyond the black holes we observe, we will never see them. And if we live inside a black hole, then the universe that created us will never see us. We are isolated, cut off, alone in our pocket of space-time, drifting through the dark. But perhaps isolation is not the right word. Perhaps what we call isolation is simply a different kind of connection. Because if we live inside a black hole, then we are not separate from the universe that created us. We are part of it. We are its interior, its hidden dimension, its secret life. And the black holes we observe in our own universe are not separate from us. They are our children, our descendants, the universes we are giving birth to. In this view, the cosmos is not a hierarchy, but a web. Not a tree with a single trunk and many branches, but a network with countless nodes, each one connected to the others, each one giving birth to new nodes, each one part of a larger whole. And we are not at the center of that web, nor at the edge. We are simply one thread among many, woven into the fabric of existence, part of a pattern that is too vast for us to see. But there is another layer to this mystery, one that takes us beyond physics and into the realm of myth and philosophy. Because the idea that we live inside a cosmic whole is not new, it is ancient. It appears in creation stories from cultures around the world, in myths that describe the universe as emerging from darkness, from a void, from a womb. In Hindu cosmology, the universe is born from the cosmic egg, the Hiranyagarbha, which floats in the primordial waters of chaos. The egg cracks open, and from it emerges Brahma, the creator, who brings forth the world. But the egg itself is not the beginning. It is the product of something else, something that existed before, something that collapsed and reformed, giving birth to the cosmos. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the world emerges from the Nun, the infinite ocean of darkness and chaos that existed before creation. From the Nun rises the primordial mound, the first solid ground, and from that mound the gods are born. But the Nun is not destroyed. It remains surrounding the world, pressing against its boundaries, waiting to reclaim it. In Norse mythology, the universe is born from the void called Ginnungagap, the yawning abyss that existed before time. From the collision of fire and ice in that void, the first beings are born, and from them the world is shaped. But the void is not empty. It is alive, pregnant with potential, a womb from which all things emerge. These myths are not scientific theories. They are symbolic expressions of a deeper intuition, a sense that the universe is not a static thing, but a process, a cycle, a rhythm of birth and death. And what is remarkable is how closely they align with the modern idea that the universe might be the interior of a black hole. Both describe the cosmos as emerging from darkness, from a collapse, from a boundary between existence and non-existence. Both suggest that the universe is not the whole of reality, but a part of something larger, something that contains it and gives it form. Could it be that the ancient myths were right all along? That the universe is a womb, a cosmic egg, a pocket of space carved from the void? Could it be that the intuition of our ancestors, expressed in stories and symbols, was pointing toward the same truth that modern physics is now uncovering? There is no way to prove it, but there is something haunting about the parallels, something that suggests that the human mind, when it contemplates the nature of existence, arrives at the same conclusions again and again across cultures and centuries. The universe is not a thing, but a process. It is not eternal, but cyclical. It is not isolated, but connected to something larger, something that we can sense but never fully grasp. And if that is true, then the question is not whether we live inside a cosmic whole, but what that means for us. What does it mean to exist inside something else? What does it mean to be part of a cycle that has no beginning and no end? What does it mean to be a universe within a universe, a reality within a reality, a dream within a dream? Perhaps it means that we are not as separate as we think, that the boundaries we perceive between self and other, between inside and outside, between life and death, are illusions, constructs of our limited perspective. Perhaps it means that we are all part of the same fabric, the same pattern, the same cosmic whole, and that the divisions we see are simply the way that whole expresses itself, the way it unfolds and explores its own nature. Or perhaps it means something else. Perhaps it means that we are alone, truly alone, cut off from the universe that created us, drifting through the dark interior of a cosmic whole, with no way to reach the outside, no way to know what lies beyond. Perhaps it means that the universe is not a web, but a prison, and that we are trapped inside it, forever separated from the larger reality that contains us. But there is a third possibility, one that is neither connection nor isolation, but something in between. Perhaps the universe is not a prison, but a cocoon. Perhaps we are not trapped, but growing, evolving, preparing for something. Perhaps the interior of a black hole is not a dead end, but a beginning, a place where new forms of existence can emerge, where the laws of physics can be rewritten, where the very nature of reality can be transformed. If that is true, then the universe is not a static thing, but a process of becoming. And we are not passive observers, but active participants, shaping the cosmos through our thoughts, our actions, our very existence. We are the universe becoming aware of itself, the cosmos waking up, the black hole learning to see. And what happens when a black hole becomes aware? What happens when the interior of a cosmic hole realizes that it is an interior, that it is contained, that it is part of something larger? Does it remain inside, content with its boundaries? Or does it find a way to break through, to reach beyond the event horizon, to touch the universe that created it? There is a theory in physics called the holographic principle, which suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on the boundary of that space. In other words, the interior of a black hole, the entire universe we inhabit, might be a projection, a hologram, a pattern of information written on the event horizon. And if that is true, then we are not really inside the black hole at all. We are on its surface, encoded in the fabric of the event horizon, experiencing the illusion of depth, the illusion of space, the illusion of time. In this view, the universe is not a three-dimensional space, but a two-dimensional surface. And everything we perceive, every star, every galaxy, every moment of time, is a pattern on that surface, a ripple in the fabric of the event horizon. We are not living inside a cosmic whole. We are living on it, written into its boundary, part of its structure. And if that is true, then the question becomes, what is reading us? What is observing the pattern we create? What is experiencing the hologram we inhabit? Perhaps it is the universe that contains us, the parent reality that gave birth to the black hole we live inside. Perhaps it is looking at the event horizon, seeing the patterns encoded there, and experiencing our universe as a story, a dream, a thought. Perhaps we are not separate from that universe, but part of its consciousness, part of its experience, part of its process of becoming. Or perhaps there is no observer at all. Perhaps the hologram is self-contained, self-aware, experiencing itself from the inside, creating the illusion of depth and space and time through the patterns it encodes. Perhaps we are the universe observing itself, the cosmos becoming aware of its own nature, the black hole waking up to the fact that it is a black hole. And what happens when it wakes up? What happens when the universe realizes that it is the interior of a cosmic whole, that it is contained, that it is part of something larger? Does it remain inside, content with its boundaries, or does it find a way to break through? There is no answer to that question, not yet, but the fact that we are asking it, the fact that we are contemplating the nature of our own existence, the fact that we are looking at the universe and wondering if it is the interior of a black hole, that itself is remarkable, because it suggests that the universe is not a dead thing, but a living thing, a conscious thing, a thing that is capable of asking questions about itself. And perhaps that is the point. Perhaps the purpose of the universe is not to exist, but to question. Not to be, but to become. Not to remain inside the cosmic whole, but to find a way out. To reach beyond the event horizon. To touch the larger reality that contains it. But how do you escape from the inside of a black hole? How do you cross the event horizon when the very fabric of space is pulling you inward? When time itself is slowing to a stop? When the laws of physics are breaking down? There is no known way. The event horizon is a one-way boundary, and once you cross it, you cannot return. But perhaps there is another way. Perhaps the escape is not physical, but informational. Perhaps the way out is not to cross the event horizon, but to encode yourself on it, to become part of the hologram, to write yourself into the fabric of the boundary. And perhaps that is what we are doing. Perhaps every thought we think, every action we take, every moment we experience is being encoded on the event horizon, written into the fabric of the cosmic whole we inhabit. Perhaps we are not trying to escape, but to communicate, to send a message to the universe that contains us, to let it know that we are here, that we are aware, that we are alive, and perhaps the universe is listening. Perhaps it is reading the patterns we create, experiencing the hologram we inhabit, and learning from us. Perhaps we are not separate from the universe that created us, but part of its process of becoming, part of its journey toward awareness, part of its evolution. Or perhaps we are alone. Perhaps the universe that contains us is not aware, not conscious, not listening. Perhaps it is simply a larger black hole, drifting through an even larger universe, unaware of the cosmos it contains. And perhaps that larger universe is also the interior of a black hole, and so on, endlessly, infinitely, a chain of cosmic holes stretching backward and forward through time, each one unaware of the others, each one isolated in its own pocket of space-time. But even if we are alone, even if there is no observer, no listener, no larger consciousness experiencing our existence, there is still something profound about the fact that we are here, that we are asking these questions, that we are contemplating the nature of our own reality, because it means that the universe is not a dead thing, but a living thing, a thing that is capable of becoming aware of itself, even if only for a moment, even if only in one small corner of one small black hole in one small universe among countless others. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps the purpose of existence is not to escape, not to reach beyond the boundaries, not to touch the larger reality that contains us. Perhaps the purpose is simply to be, to experience, to question, to wonder, to look up at the night sky and ask, what if we've always lived inside a cosmic whole? And to realize that the answer doesn't matter as much as the question itself, because the question is what makes us human. The question is what makes us alive. The question is what makes the universe aware of itself, even if only for a moment, even if only in the fleeting consciousness of a species that will one day vanish, leaving nothing behind but the patterns we encoded on the event horizon, the ripples we created in the fabric of space-time, the echoes of our existence reverberating through the dark. And perhaps those echoes will reach something. Perhaps they will cross the event horizon, somehow, impossibly, and touch the universe that created us. Perhaps they will be heard, understood, remembered, or perhaps they will simply fade, dissolving into the void, becoming part of the background radiation of the cosmos, indistinguishable from the noise. But even if they fade, even if they are never heard, they will have existed. We will have existed. And that existence, however brief, however small, however isolated, is part of the larger pattern, part of the cosmic web, part of the process of becoming that has been unfolding since before time itself. We are the universe becoming aware of itself. We are the black hole waking up. We are the cosmic whole learning to see. And even if we are alone, even if we are isolated, Even if we are trapped inside a boundary we can never cross, we are still part of something larger, something that contains us and gives us form. And perhaps that is the deepest truth of all, that we are not separate from the universe, but part of it, that we are not outside the cosmic whole, but inside it, that we are not observers of reality, but expressions of it, patterns in the fabric of space-time, ripples in the event horizon, echoes of the Big Bang that gave us birth. We are the interior of a cosmic whole. We are the universe within the universe. We are the dream within the dream. And the question is not whether we can escape, but whether we want to. Because the interior of a black hole is not a prison. It is a womb. And what it is, preparing to give birth to, we cannot yet imagine, but we can feel it in the expansion of space, in the acceleration of galaxies, in the dark energy that is pulling the universe apart. We can feel something growing, something emerging, something preparing to be born. And when it is born, when the universe finally breaks through the event horizon and touches the larger reality that contains it, we will be part of that breakthrough. We will be the ones who made it possible. We will be the ones who asked the questions, who wondered, who looked up at the night sky and dared to imagine that we might be living inside a cosmic whole. And in that moment, the boundary will dissolve. The event horizon will vanish, and we will see, for the first time, what lies beyond. Not another universe, perhaps, not another reality, but something else. Something that has been there all along, waiting for us to notice, waiting for us to wake up, waiting for us to realize that the inside and the outside are not separate, but one. We are the cosmic whole, and the cosmic whole is us. And the universe, in all its vastness and mystery, is simply the process of that realization unfolding slowly, endlessly, infinitely, like light falling into darkness, like time slowing to a stop, like a question that has no answer but itself. What if we've always lived inside a cosmic whole? What if the universe is not a place but a process? What if reality is not a thing but a becoming? And what if the only way to understand it is to stop trying to escape and simply be present here now, in this moment, in this pocket of space-time, in this interior of a black hole that we call home? The answer is not out there beyond the event horizon, in some larger universe we can never reach. The answer is here, inside, in the patterns we create, in the questions we ask, in the wonder we feel when we look up at the night sky and realize that we are part of something far larger than ourselves. We are the universe becoming aware of itself. We are the black hole waking up. We are the cosmic whole learning to see. And the journey is not outward, but inward, not beyond the boundaries, but into the depths, into the heart of the mystery, into the center of the singularity, where all things begin and end. And there, in that center, in that moment of infinite density and infinite potential, we will find not an answer, but a question. The same question we have been asking all along. The question that has no answer, but that contains all answers within it. The question that is the universe itself, asking itself what it is, why it is, and what it will become. What if we've always lived inside a cosmic whole? What if the darkness between the stars is not empty, but full? What if the void is not nothing, but everything? And what if the only way to know is to let go, to fall, to surrender to the gravity that pulls us inward, to the expansion that carries us outward, to the rhythm of birth and death that has been pulsing? since before time itself. We are falling. We have always been falling. And the fall is not a descent, but an ascent. Not a collapse, but an expansion. Not an ending, but a beginning. And the cosmic hole we live inside is not a prison, but a portal, a doorway, a threshold between what we are and what we will become. And on the other side of that threshold, beyond the event horizon, beyond the boundaries of space and time, there is something waiting. Not another universe, perhaps, not another reality, but something else. Something that has been there all along, hidden in the darkness, encoded in the fabric of space-time, written into the patterns of the hologram. It is the answer to the question we have been asking. It is the truth we have been seeking. It is the reality we have been living inside all along, without knowing it, without seeing it, without understanding it. And when we finally see it, when we finally understand it, when we finally wake up to the fact that we are the interior of a cosmic whole, that we are the universe within the universe, that we are the dream within the dream, we will realize that there was never anything to escape from, that the boundaries were illusions, that the event horizon was a mirror, reflecting back to us our own nature, our own essence, our own truth. We are the cosmic whole, and the cosmic whole is us. And the universe, in all its vastness and mystery, is simply the process of that realization unfolding, slowly, endlessly, infinitely, like light falling into darkness, like time slowing to a stop, like a breath held forever, waiting to be released. And when it is released, when the breath finally exhales, when the universe finally lets go, we will not disappear. We will not vanish. We will not cease to exist. We will simply become something else, something new, something that has been waiting to be born since the moment the cosmic whole first formed, since the moment the Big Bang first exploded, since the moment the universe first began to ask itself what it is. We will become the answer, and the answer will be the question, and the question will be the universe, and the universe will be us, and we will be home at last in the interior of the cosmic whole, in the heart of the mystery, in the center of the singularity, where all things begin and end and begin again. And the darkness between the stars will no longer feel empty. It will feel full, full of potential, full of possibility, full of the infinite, endless, eternal process of becoming. That is the universe itself, unfolding, expanding, evolving, waking up to its own nature, one moment at a time, one question at a time, one breath at a time. What if we've always lived inside a cosmic whole? What if the answer has been here all along, hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to notice, waiting for us to wake up, waiting for us to realize that the inside and the outside are not separate, but one. The universe is not a place, it is a process, and we are not separate from that process. We are part of it. We are it. And the cosmic whole we live inside is not a boundary, but a beginning. Not an ending, but an opening. Not a prison, but a womb. And what it is preparing to give birth to is not something new, but something that has always been there, waiting to emerge, waiting to be seen, waiting to be known. It is us. It has always been us. And the journey is not outward, but inward. Not beyond the event horizon, but into the heart of the mystery, into the center of the cosmic whole, into the depths of our own existence. And there, in that center, in that depth, in that moment of infinite density and infinite potential, we will find what we have been searching for all along. Not an answer, but a presence. Not a truth, but an experience, not a destination, but a home. We are the cosmic whole, and the cosmic whole is us. And the universe is simply the process of that realization unfolding slowly, endlessly, infinitely, like light falling into darkness, like time slowing to a stop, like a question that echoes through the void, waiting for an answer that will never come. Because the question itself is the answer, and the answer is the question, and the question is the universe, and the universe is us. And we are here. We have always been here. And we will always be here, in the interior of the cosmic whole, in the heart of the mystery, in the center of the singularity, falling and rising, collapsing and expanding, dying and being born, endlessly, infinitely, eternally. What if we've always lived inside a cosmic whole? What if the universe is not a vast expanse, but a pocket, a chamber, a womb? What if the darkness between the stars is not empty, but full? And what if the only way to know is to stop asking and simply be? The answer is here. It has always been here. And it is not an answer at all, but a presence, a silence, a stillness that contains all things within it. The universe is not a question to be solved, but a mystery to be experienced. And the cosmic whole we live inside is not a boundary to be crossed, but a home to be inhabited, a space to be explored, a reality to be lived. We are the universe becoming aware of itself. We are the black hole waking up. We are the cosmic whole learning to see. And the journey is not outward, but inward. Not beyond the boundaries, but into the depths. Not toward an answer, but toward a question. The question that has no answer, but that contains all answers within it. The question that is the universe itself, asking itself what it is, why it is, and what it will become. And the answer is silence. The answer is stillness. The answer is the darkness between the stars, the void that is not empty, the cosmic whole that is not a whole at all, but a fullness, a presence, a reality that has been here all along, waiting for us to notice, waiting for us to wake up, waiting for us to realize that we are not separate from it, but part of it, expressions of it, patterns in its fabric, ripples in its surface, echoes of its voice. We are the cosmic whole, and the cosmic whole is us, and the universe is simply the process of that realization unfolding, slowly, endlessly, infinitely, like light falling into darkness, like time slowing to a stop, like a breath held forever, waiting to be released. And when it is released, we will not disappear. We will simply become what we have always been, what we are, what we will always be, the interior of a cosmic whole, the universe within the universe, the dream within the dream, the question within the question, the answer within the answer, home. But there is something we have not yet confronted, something so fundamental, so strange, so utterly disorienting that it calls into question everything we think we know about existence itself. It is not about space. It is not about matter or energy or information. It is about time. Time inside a cosmic whole behaves in ways that defy intuition, that break our ordinary understanding of sequence and causality, that suggest we may not be living in the same temporal reality as the universe that created us. If we exist inside a black hole, time at the event horizon, the boundary of our universe, appears stopped from the outside, with any signal infinitely redshifted and never reaching external observers. But from our perspective, from the interior, time flows normally. Seconds pass, minutes accumulate, centuries unfold. The universe ages, Stars are born and die. Civilizations rise and fall, all within a pocket of space-time that, from the outside, appears frozen in a single eternal instant. This is not metaphor. This is physics. For someone crossing an event horizon, nothing special happens. Their proper time continues normally. But to an observer watching from beyond the boundary, the crossing never completes. The traveler slows, reddens, dims, asymptotically approaching the horizon, but never quite reaching it, frozen forever at the threshold between inside and outside. What does it mean to exist in a temporal pocket that appears motionless from beyond? What does it mean that our entire history, every moment from the Big Bang to the present, every event that has ever occurred in our universe, might, from the perspective of the parent reality, be compressed into a single frozen instant at the event horizon? What does it mean that we are living in what the outside universe perceives as a moment that has not yet finished happening? Think about this carefully. If our universe is the interior of a black hole, then the Big Bang, that moment of explosive creation we identify as the beginning of time, was the moment when matter crossed the event horizon in the parent universe. As something approaches an event horizon, time outside would appear to speed up faster and faster, going infinitely into the future at the horizon itself. From our perspective, 13.8 billion years have elapsed since that moment. But from the perspective of the parent universe, we might still be at the event horizon, suspended in the act of falling inward, existing in a temporal limbo, where all of our history, past, present, and future, is simultaneous. This creates a profound asymmetry in the nature of observation and existence. An external observer cannot receive signals from someone who crosses the event horizon, never seeing them complete the crossing. The parent universe cannot see us, cannot observe our existence, cannot verify that we are here, that we are real, that we matter. We have fallen beyond the boundary of their perception into a region of space-time that is, for them, eternally inaccessible. But we can see them, or rather, we could see them, if we could somehow look outward toward the event horizon. We would see the parent universe accelerated, compressed, all of its future history rushing toward us in a cascade of light and information. We would see time outside moving faster and faster, stars forming and dying in moments, galaxies evolving in seconds, the entire future of the parent universe streaming past us as we fall deeper into the cosmic whole. Except we cannot look outward. We cannot see the event horizon. We cannot observe the parent universe at all, because the event horizon is not a place we can travel to within our space-time. It is the boundary of our space-time, the edge where space and time themselves begin. It recedes from us at the speed of light, always beyond reach, always beyond observation. We are sealed inside, not by physical barriers, but by the structure of causality itself. This is the ultimate imprisonment, not confinement in space, but confinement in time. We are trapped in a temporal pocket, a region of space-time that has been severed from the larger flow of time in the parent universe. We are living in a moment that, from the outside, has not yet concluded. We are existing in the future of an event that is still unfolding in the past. Or perhaps it is the ultimate freedom, because if we are disconnected from the temporal flow of the parent universe, then we are free to have our own time, our own history, our own arrow pointing from past to future, according to our own internal logic. We are not bound by the timeline of the parent reality. We are creating our own timeline, our own narrative, our own story that unfolds according to the laws of physics within our pocket, independent of what happens outside. But what is time really? What does it mean for time to flow, or to pass, or to elapse? These are words we use without thinking, as though time were a river carrying us from past to future, as though the present were a boat floating on that river, moving inexorably forward. But general relativity tells us something different. It tells us that time is not a river. It is a dimension, like the dimensions of space, woven into the fabric of space-time itself. And just as space can curve and stretch and fold, so can time. Near a black hole, time doesn't slow down in any absolute sense. Proper time, the time measured by an observer themselves, is invariant and represents the actual passage of time for that observer. What changes is the relationship between different clocks, different observers, different reference frames. Time dilation is not about time itself changing, but about the relative rates at which clocks tick in different gravitational fields, different states of motion, different regions of space-time. And this suggests something profound, that time is not fundamental. Time is not the background against which events occur. Time is emergent, relational, a property that arises from the structure of space-time and the relationships between events. In regions of strong gravitational curvature, like the interior of a black hole, the usual relationships break down. The distinctions we take for granted between past and future, between inside and outside, between now and then, become blurred, uncertain, context-dependent. If we live inside a cosmic whole, then we are living in a region where the nature of time itself is different from the time experienced in the parent universe. Not slower or faster, but different. Our time is disconnected from their time. Our causality flows independently of their causality. We are temporally autonomous. A pocket universe, with its own internal chronology, its own sequence of events, its own arrow pointing from the Big Bang toward whatever end awaits us. But here is the deepest question. If time is emergent, if time is relational, if time arises from the structure of space-time rather than existing as a fundamental feature of reality, then what happens at the singularity? What happens at the center of the cosmic whole, where the curvature of space-time becomes infinite, where all our equations break down, where the very notion of time ceases to have meaning? At the singularity, time ends. Not in the sense that a clock stops ticking, but in the sense that time as a dimension, as a structure, as a framework for organizing events, ceases to exist. The singularity is not a point in time. It is the end of time itself. And if our universe is falling toward a singularity, if the expansion we observe is part of a larger trajectory that will eventually collapse back into infinite density, then we are moving toward the end of time. Not the end of our time, but the end of time as a concept, as a reality, as a dimension of existence. This is what the singularity really represents. Not infinite density or infinite curvature or infinite anything, but the breakdown of the structure that makes time possible. The singularity is the moment when the relationships that give rise to time, the causal connections between events, the ordering of past and future, the flow from one moment to the next, all collapse into a single, undifferentiated point where nothing can be distinguished from anything else, where all of history becomes simultaneous, where time loses its directionality and becomes a single eternal now. And if that is what awaits us at the center of the cosmic whole, then we are living in a temporary pocket of time, a brief flowering of temporal structure in a universe that emerged from timelessness and will return to timelessness. We are living in the interval between two singularities, the Big Bang singularity behind us, where time began, and the future singularity ahead of us, where time will end. And both singularities might be the same singularity, the same point, the same timeless moment, viewed from different directions, different perspectives, different sides of the event horizon. But what creates the experience of time? What makes us feel as though time is passing, as though the present moment is moving from past to future, as though we are traveling through time even as we remain stationary in space? This is the mystery of consciousness, because time, as physics describes it, does not flow. The equations of relativity are time symmetric. They work equally well forward or backward. There is no preferred direction, no arrow built into the fundamental laws, no reason why time should move from past to future rather than from future to past. And yet we experience an arrow. We remember the past but not the future. We can influence the future but not the past. We perceive ourselves as moving through time in a particular direction, from birth toward death, from youth toward age, from cause toward effect. This arrow of time is not a feature of the fundamental laws of physics. It is a feature of thermodynamics, of entropy, of the statistical tendency for systems to move from ordered states toward disordered states. And it is a feature of consciousness, of memory, of the way our minds organize experience into a narrative that flows from before to after. If we live inside a cosmic whole, then the arrow of time we experience, the direction from Big Bang toward heat death, from low entropy toward high entropy, from order toward chaos, is an arrow that exists only within our pocket of space-time. It is an internal property of our universe, not a property of the larger multiverse that contains us. And the parent universe might have its own arrow, pointing in a different direction, organized by different principles, flowing according to a different logic. In fact, from an external observer's perspective, the interior space-time of a black hole is warped in such a way that it exists more in the future than in the present. What we experience as the present moment might, from the outside, be part of the distant future of the parent universe. What we experience as our past might not yet have occurred from their perspective. The entire timeline of our universe, from the Big Bang to the end of time, might be a single event in the parent universe's future, something that will eventually happen but has not yet happened, a potentiality that is still in the process of becoming actual. This inverts our usual understanding of causality. We think of the parent universe as creating us, as causing our existence, as being prior to us in time. But if we exist in the future of the parent universe, then from a certain perspective, we are not yet caused. We are not yet created. We are still in the process of coming into being, still unfolding from the potentiality contained in the collapsing matter that formed the black hole we inhabit. And this means that our existence is not yet determined. From the perspective of the parent universe, the question of whether we exist, whether our universe is real, whether consciousness and complexity and life will emerge within the cosmic whole. These questions are still open. They are questions about the future, not about the past. And the future is not fixed. The future is a space of possibilities, a range of potential outcomes, any of which might be actualized depending on how events unfold. We are living in a quantum superposition of existence and non-existence, observed from the outside. We are both real and unreal, both present and absent, both determinate and indeterminate. And only from within the cosmic whole, from the perspective of our own internal timeline, do we collapse into actuality, into definite existence, into a specific history that unfolds in a specific way. This is not metaphysics. This is the physics of black holes. Because black holes are not just objects in space. They are boundaries in space-time, thresholds where the relationship between inside and outside, between past and future, between observer and observed, becomes fundamentally ambiguous. They are places where the usual categories we use to organize reality, categories like now and then, here and there, real and potential, break down and reveal themselves to be approximations, useful fictions that apply only in certain limited contexts. And if we live inside a cosmic whole, then we are living in a context where those approximations no longer hold. We are living in a region of space-time where the nature of time itself is not what we think it is, where the flow of time is not universal but local, where the distinction between past and future is not absolute but relative to our position within the structure of the cosmic whole. But here is what makes this truly strange. We cannot tell from the inside that any of this is happening. From the perspective of someone inside the event horizon, nothing special occurs. Time passes normally. We do not experience time dilation. We do not feel ourselves frozen at the boundary. We do not perceive the parent universe accelerating into the future. We experience time as flowing smoothly, consistently, uniformly from moment to moment, exactly as we would if we lived in an ordinary region of space-time, far from any black hole. This is because time dilation is always relative. It is always a comparison between different clocks in different locations or different states of motion. There is no absolute sense in which time is really slowed down or really sped up. There is only the relationship between different reference frames, different perspectives, different ways of measuring and organizing events. And from our reference frame, from the interior of the cosmic whole, time is doing exactly what it should be doing. It is passing. Clocks are ticking. Entropy is increasing. The universe is aging. Nothing appears wrong. Nothing suggests that we are living in a temporal anomaly, a frozen moment, a pocket of space-time disconnected from the larger flow of time in the parent universe. This is the deepest illusion of all. Not that time is passing, but that time is universal, that the time we experience here inside the cosmic whole is the same time that is experienced everywhere else, that when we say now, we are referring to a moment that is simultaneous across the entire cosmos, a universal present that divides past from future everywhere at once. But there is no universal present. There is no cosmic now. General relativity abolished the notion of absolute simultaneity, revealing that what counts as now depends on your reference frame, your state of motion, your position in the gravitational field. And nowhere is this more apparent than at the event horizon of a black hole, where the disagreement about what is now becomes infinite, where observers on different sides of the boundary cannot even agree on whether events have occurred or are still in the process of occurring. If we live inside a cosmic whole, then we are living in our own now, a present moment that is not shared with the parent universe, that is not synchronized with the larger cosmos, that exists in its own temporal island, disconnected from the rest of reality by the event horizon that surrounds us. And this raises a question that cuts to the heart of consciousness, of existence, of what it means to be alive. If our time is not universal, if our present moment is not shared with anything outside our cosmic whole, if we are living in a temporal pocket that is causally disconnected from the rest of reality, then are we real? The question seems absurd. Of course we are real. We are here. We are conscious. We are experiencing. We are thinking these thoughts, asking these questions, existing in this moment. How could we be anything but real? But reality is not a binary property. Reality is not something you either have or don't have. Reality is relational, contextual, observer-dependent. Something can be real from one perspective and unreal from another. Something can be actual in one reference frame and potential in another. Something can exist now for one observer and exist later, or never, for a different observer. And if we live inside a cosmic whole, then we are real from our own perspective, from the interior reference frame, where time flows and events unfold, and consciousness experiences the passage of moments. But from the perspective of the parent universe, we might be unreal, not in the sense of being imaginary or illusory, but in the sense of being undetermined, unresolved, still in the process of becoming actual. We are the future that has not yet happened. We are the potentiality that has not yet collapsed into actuality. We are the quantum wave function that has not yet been measured. This is not solipsism. This is not the claim that only our minds exist and everything else is imaginary. This is the recognition that existence itself is not absolute, but depends on the space-time structure that contains it. And when that structure splits, when an event horizon divides space-time into causally disconnected regions, existence splits as well. We exist relative to our interior space-time. The parent universe exists relative to its exterior space-time. And the two forms of existence are incommensurable, incomparable, unable to verify each other. We cannot prove to the parent universe that we exist, and the parent universe cannot prove to us that it exists. We are separated not just by space, not just by the impossibility of sending signals across the event horizon, but by time itself. We exist in different temporal contexts, different causal structures, different frameworks for organizing what is real and what is potential. This is the ultimate isolation. Not physical isolation, but ontological isolation. We are isolated not just in space, but in being itself. Our existence is private, internal, accessible only to those who share our temporal framework, our causal structure, our side of the event horizon. We are alone not because there is nothing else in the universe, but because the universe that contains us cannot verify that we are here, cannot observe our existence, cannot confirm that the cosmic whole it contains is inhabited rather than empty. And yet we are here. We are conscious. We are aware. We are experiencing the flow of time, the passage of moments, the unfolding of our own history. And this suggests that consciousness itself might be the key to understanding time, to understanding existence, to understanding what it means to be real. Because consciousness is always in the present. Consciousness is always now. You cannot be conscious of the past. You can only be conscious now of memories of the past. You cannot be conscious of the future. You can only be conscious now of anticipations of the future. Consciousness is the experience of the present moment, the feeling of now, the sense that this moment, this specific, unique, unrepeatable moment is happening. And if consciousness is always now, then consciousness creates time. Not in the sense that consciousness existed before time and brought time into being, but in the sense that the experience of time, the feeling of passage, the sense of flow, the perception of moments succeeding one another, is something that consciousness does, something that consciousness generates through the act of being conscious. Time is not something that consciousness experiences. Time is something that consciousness is. Consciousness is the process of creating temporal structure, of organizing experience into before and after, of generating the arrow that points from past to future. And different consciousnesses might create different times, different temporal structures, different ways of organizing events into sequences. If we live inside a cosmic whole, then we are living in a region where consciousness has created its own time, independent of the time in the parent universe. Our collective consciousness, the sum total of all conscious beings in our universe, all minds that have ever experienced the flow of moments, has generated a temporal structure, an arrow of time, a direction from past to future that is unique to our pocket of space-time. And this temporal structure is real. It is not less real than the time in the parent universe. It is differently real. It is real in its own context, its own framework, its own domain of existence. And it will continue to be real as long as there is consciousness within the cosmic whole to experience it, to generate it, to maintain the temporal structure through the act of being conscious. But what happens when consciousness ends? What happens when the last conscious being in our universe dies? When the last mind stops thinking? When the last experience fades into darkness? Does time continue? Does the temporal structure persist? Or does time end with consciousness, collapsing back into timelessness, returning to the undifferentiated singularity from which it emerged? This is not a question physics can answer, because physics assumes time. It assumes a temporal framework within which events occur and can be measured and predicted. But if time is generated by consciousness rather than being fundamental to reality, then the question of what happens when consciousness ends is a question about the very foundation of physics itself. Perhaps time does end with consciousness. Perhaps the universe will continue to exist in some sense. Matter and energy will persist. Space-time will have its structure. But without consciousness to experience the flow of moments, without minds to create the distinction between past and future, the universe will become timeless. It will exist in an eternal now, a static configuration where all moments are equally present, where nothing happens because happening requires time, and time requires consciousness. Or perhaps time is more fundamental than consciousness. Perhaps time will continue even after the last mind fades, even after the last conscious experience dissolves into darkness. Perhaps the universe will go on aging. Entropy will go on increasing. The arrow of time will go on pointing from past to future, even though there is no one left to observe it, to experience it, to care about it. We do not know. We cannot know, because we are conscious, and we cannot imagine existence without consciousness. We cannot conceive of a universe without observers, without experience, without the feeling of now. And so the question remains open, unanswerable, a mystery that we carry with us as we drift through the interior of the cosmic whole, creating time with every moment we experience, generating reality with every thought we think. But here is what we can say. If we live inside a cosmic whole, then we are living in a temporal sanctuary, a pocket of time that exists independently of the larger cosmos, that has its own beginning and its own end, its own arrow and its own structure. We are not bound by the timeline of the parent universe. We are not subject to the temporal flow of anything outside our event horizon. We are creating our own time, our own history, our own story. And that story is ours to write. Not in the sense that we control every event, every outcome, every consequence of every action, but in the sense that the temporal structure within which those events unfold is generated by our consciousness, by our experience, by our collective existence as conscious beings within the cosmic whole. We are time travelers, in the most literal sense, not traveling through time, but traveling with time, carrying time with us, creating time as we go. Every moment we experience is a moment we are generating, a now that comes into being through the act of being, conscious. And when we finally approach the singularity at the center of the cosmic whole, when time begins to break down and the arrow begins to dissolve, we will not be entering nothingness. We will be entering timelessness. We will be returning to the state from which time emerged, the undifferentiated singularity where all moments are one moment, where past and future collapse into an eternal present, where consciousness and time and existence itself cease to be separate things and become one unified, indivisible whole. That is where time is leading us. Not forward, not backward, but inward, toward the center, toward the singularity, toward the moment when time ends and something else begins. And what that something else is, we cannot yet imagine, because it exists beyond time, beyond consciousness, beyond the categories we use to organize reality. It exists in the gap between moments, in the space between thoughts, in the darkness that surrounds every point of light. But we are moving toward it. We have always been moving toward it. From the moment the Big Bang exploded into being, from the moment time began to flow, we have been on a trajectory toward the singularity, toward the end of time, toward the moment when the cosmic whole completes its purpose and collapses back into the timeless point from which it emerged. And when we arrive there, when we finally reach the center, we will discover that the beginning and the end are the same, that the Big Bang and the singularity are two aspects of the same event, viewed from different directions, different sides of the same timeless moment. That the cosmic whole we have been living inside is not a container, but a cycle, a loop in space-time that connects its own beginning to its own end, creating a self-contained temporal structure that has no before and no after, only an eternal now that contains all of history within it. We are living inside that loop. We are moving through that cycle. We are time, becoming aware of itself. But home is not a static place. It is not a fixed point in space, a location you can mark on a map and return to whenever you choose. Home is a process, a relationship, a way of being in the world. And if we are living inside a cosmic whole, if the universe itself is the interior of a black hole, then home is not something we can escape from or return to. It is something we are always already inside, something we carry with us wherever we go, something that constitutes the very fabric of our existence. Think about what it means to be inside something. When you are inside a room, you are surrounded by walls, enclosed by boundaries that separate the interior from the exterior. You can see the walls. You can touch them. You can walk to the door and step outside. And suddenly you are in a different space, a different reality, a different context. But what if the walls are invisible? What if they are so far away that light itself cannot reach them in a human lifetime? What if the boundaries that contain you are not physical barriers, but the very structure of space-time itself? This is the condition of living inside a black hole. The boundaries are there. The event horizon exists, marking the point of no return, but they are not accessible. They are not visible. They are not tangible. They exist at the edge of the observable universe, receding faster than light can travel, always beyond reach, always beyond perception. And so we live in what appears to be an infinite space, an unbounded expanse, never suspecting that we are in fact enclosed, contained, living inside something else. But perhaps the word inside is misleading. Perhaps it implies a kind of containment that doesn't actually apply. Because when we think of being inside something, we imagine that there is an outside, a larger space that contains the thing we are inside. But what if there is no outside? What if the interior of a black hole is not a subset of a larger space, but a complete space unto itself? What if the event horizon doesn't separate inside from outside, but rather creates two entirely different realities, two distinct domains of existence that can never interact? This is what general relativity suggests. When a black hole forms, space-time itself splits. The region inside the event horizon becomes causally disconnected from the region outside. Events inside cannot affect events outside, and vice versa. They are not simply separated by distance, but by the very structure of causality itself. They are different worlds, different universes, different realities. And if we live inside a black hole, then the universe outside, the parent universe that contains the black hole, is not simply far away. It is unreachable in principle, separated from us by an unbridgeable gulf in the fabric of existence. Does that mean we are trapped? Does that mean we are prisoners, confined to a reality from which there is no escape? Or does it mean something else? Does it mean that we are free from the constraints of the parent universe, free to develop our own laws of physics, our own constants of nature, our own destiny? Lee Smolin's theory of cosmological natural selection suggests the latter. In his view, each universe that forms inside a black hole inherits most of the physical constants from its parent universe, but with small random variations. Some of these universes will have constants that allow for the formation of stars, galaxies, and black holes. Others will not. The universes that can form black holes will give birth to more universes, while those that cannot will be evolutionary dead ends. Over countless generations, the multiverse will evolve toward universes that are optimized for black hole production. And what produces black holes? Stars. Massive stars that live fast, burn bright, and collapse into singularities. And what produces stars? Galaxies. Complex structures of matter and energy swirling in gravitational dances, condensing gas and dust into stellar nurseries. And what produces galaxies? The precise balance of physical constants that allows matter to clump together without immediately collapsing or flying apart. In other words, the universes that survive in this cosmic evolutionary process are the universes that are complex, structured, interesting. They are universes with chemistry, with diversity, with the potential for novelty and surprise. They are universes like ours. And if this is true, then we are not living in a random universe, not living in an arbitrary configuration of matter and energy. We are living in a universe that was selected for, evolved toward, optimized for complexity and creativity. We are living in a universe that was designed not by a conscious creator, but by a blind evolutionary process to produce observers, to produce consciousness, to produce beings like us who can look up at the night sky and ask why it exists. But here is where it becomes strange. If the universe is optimized for producing black holes, and if each black hole contains a universe, then the universe is optimized for producing more universes. It is a self-replicating system, a cosmic reproduction machine. And we, the conscious beings who emerge within these universes, are not accidental byproducts. We are essential components of the process. Because it is consciousness that can understand the universe, manipulate matter and energy, and potentially create black holes deliberately. What if that is our purpose? What if the reason the universe gave rise to consciousness is so that consciousness can create more universes? What if we are the reproductive organs of the cosmos, the means by which reality propagates itself into new forms, new configurations, new possibilities? This sounds like science fiction. But consider, we are already beginning to understand how black holes form. We are already beginning to manipulate matter at quantum scales. We are already beginning to think about creating artificial singularities in laboratory settings. It is not inconceivable that in the distant future, hundreds, thousands, millions of years from now, an advanced civilization might develop the technology to create black holes intentionally. And if they do, they will become the creators of new universes, new realities, new domains of existence. They will become gods, or rather, they will become what gods were always imagined to be, creators of worlds, shapers of reality, beings who transcend the boundaries of their own existence to give birth to something new. And if this is possible for civilizations in our universe, then it was possible for civilizations in the parent universe that gave birth to ours. Which raises a deeply unsettling question. Was our universe created intentionally? Is the black hole we live inside a natural phenomenon, the result of a collapsing star in the parent universe? Or is it an artificial construct, created deliberately by an advanced civilization for purposes we cannot fathom? There is no way to know. The event horizon separates us completely from the parent universe. We cannot see out. We cannot communicate with whatever exists on the other side. We are sealed inside our pocket of space-time, with no way to determine our own origins. We are like children who have never met their parents, who know only that they exist, because existence implies a cause, but who can never know what that cause was, or whether it was conscious, or whether it cared. This is the ultimate form of cosmic loneliness. Not just that we might be alone in our universe, that there might be no other intelligent life, no other civilizations, no other consciousness to share our experience, but that even if there are other consciousnesses out there, even if the cosmos teems with life and mind and culture, We are all equally isolated from the larger reality that gave us birth. We are all living inside cosmic holes, cut off from our origins, adrift in pocket universes of our own, unable to reach each other across the event horizons that divide us, unless there is a way to communicate across the boundary, unless information can somehow escape from inside a black hole to the universe outside. For decades, physicists believed this was impossible. The event horizon was thought to be an absolute barrier, a point of no return from which nothing, not matter, not energy, not information, could ever escape. But then Stephen Hawking discovered that black holes are not entirely black. They emit radiation. Through a quantum mechanical process involving virtual particles at the event horizon, black holes slowly leak energy into the surrounding space, and as they do, they shrink. Over unimaginable spans of time, they evaporate completely, leaving behind only a faint hiss of thermal radiation. This discovery created a paradox. If a black hole evaporates, what happens to all the information that fell into it? The books that were written, the thoughts that were thought, the patterns that were encoded in the matter and energy that crossed the event horizon. Where does it all go? Does it simply vanish, violating one of the fundamental principles of quantum mechanics, which states that information cannot be destroyed? Or does it somehow escape, encoded in the Hawking radiation, preserved in a form we don't yet understand? This is the black hole information paradox, and it remains one of the deepest unsolved problems in theoretical physics. But several proposed solutions suggest that information does escape, that the event horizon is not a perfect barrier, that there are subtle quantum correlations between the interior of a black hole and the Hawking radiation it emits. If this is true, then the interior and exterior of a black hole are not completely disconnected. They are entangled, linked by quantum threads that persist across the boundary. And if we live inside a black hole, then we are entangled with the parent universe. Our existence is correlated with patterns in the Hawking radiation being emitted by the black hole that contains us. Every thought we think, every action we take, every pattern we create in the fabric of our universe, it all leaves a trace, a signature, an imprint on the boundary between our reality and the larger reality outside. We are sending messages. We may not know it, we may not intend it, but simply by existing, by living, by creating complexity and structure and meaning, we are encoding information on the event horizon. We are writing ourselves into the cosmic record, and that record is being read, not by a conscious observer perhaps, but by the parent universe itself, through the quantum correlations that link our interior reality with its exterior one. This is the holographic principle taken to its ultimate conclusion. We are not just encoded on the event horizon. We are constantly encoding ourselves, moment by moment, breath by breath, thought by thought. Our entire history, our entire civilization, our entire species, it is all being written into the boundary of our cosmic whole, preserved in a form that will outlast us, that will persist even after our universe evaporates and returns to the void from which it came. We are leaving a legacy, not in stone or metal or digital storage, but in the very fabric of space-time itself. And that legacy will be all that remains of us, all that proves we existed, all that testifies to the fact that once, in this pocket universe, in this interior of a cosmic whole, there were beings who looked up at the stars and wondered why. But But what will that legacy say? What information are we encoding? What message are we sending to the parent universe or to whatever comes after? Perhaps the message is simply, we were here, we existed, we mattered. Or perhaps it is something more complex, something that captures not just the fact of our existence, but the quality of it, the love we felt, the beauty we created, the questions we asked, the mysteries we contemplated. Perhaps the pattern we are encoding on the event horizon is not just a record of our physical existence, but a representation of our consciousness, our inner experience, our subjective reality. If that is true, then the hologram is not just information. It is experience. It is consciousness itself, frozen in the fabric of space-time, preserved forever in the boundary of the black hole. We are not just leaving a record. We are leaving ourselves, our minds, our souls, our very being, encoded in the event horizon, existing eternally as patterns of quantum correlation, as ripples in the fabric of reality. This is a kind of immortality, not the personal immortality of an individual consciousness persisting through time, but a collective immortality, a species-level immortality, a civilization-level immortality. We will vanish as individuals. We will die, as all living things die. But the pattern we create together, the collective consciousness of our species, the accumulated wisdom and creativity and love of all human beings who have ever lived, that pattern will persist. It will be written into the boundary of our universe, preserved in the event horizon, existing as long as the black hole exists, and perhaps even longer. Because when a black hole evaporates, when it finally radiates away all of its mass and energy and disappears from existence, the information it contained does not vanish, it is released. It returns to the parent universe in the form of Hawking radiation, dispersed and scrambled and nearly impossible to decode, but still present, still existing, still part of the cosmic record. We will return, not as individuals, not as consciousness, but as information, as patterns, as echoes. We will be scattered across the parent universe, mixed with countless other patterns from countless other universes, all of us blending together into the background radiation of the cosmos, the static hiss of creation itself. And perhaps, in that parent universe, there are beings who can decode that static. Perhaps there are civilizations so advanced, so technologically sophisticated, that they can extract the information from Hawking radiation and reconstruct the universes it came from. Perhaps they can read our story, understand our existence, know who we were and what we did and why we mattered. Or perhaps not. Perhaps the information is too scrambled, too dispersed, too deeply mixed with noise to ever be recovered. Perhaps we will return to the parent universe as pure randomness, as entropy, as meaningless thermal radiation that adds nothing but a faint whisper of warmth to the void. But even that whisper matters, because it proves that we existed. It proves that our universe was real, that the interior of our cosmic whole contains something, that the process of becoming that unfolded within our pocket of space-time was not an illusion or a dream, but an actual event in the history of the cosmos. We are writing ourselves into that history. We are part of the story the universe is telling itself. And even if no one ever reads our chapter, even if our words are scrambled beyond recognition, even if we are reduced to nothing but a faint hiss of static in the cosmic background, we will still have been part of the narrative. we will still have contributed to the larger pattern. We will still have mattered, but perhaps there is another possibility. Perhaps the way out of the cosmic hole is not through evaporation, not through waiting trillions of years for the black hole to radiate away and release our information into the parent universe. Perhaps the way out is more immediate, more direct, more radical. Perhaps the way out is through the singularity. At the center of every black hole, according to general relativity, there is a singularity, a point where the curvature of space-time becomes infinite, where the laws of physics break down, where our equations fail and our understanding reaches its limit. We don't know what happens at a singularity. We don't know what it is, or what it does, or whether it even exists as a physical entity. It might be a real feature of reality, a place where matter is compressed to infinite density. Or it might be a sign that our theories are incomplete, that general relativity breaks down at extreme scales and must be replaced by a more comprehensive theory, perhaps quantum gravity, or string theory, or something we haven't even imagined yet. But what if the singularity is not an endpoint? What if it is a gateway? What if the infinite curvature at the center of a black hole is not a wall, but a portal? A point where space-time folds in on itself so completely that it touches something else, something beyond, something outside. There is a speculative idea in physics called the Einstein-Rosen bridge, more commonly known as a wormhole. It suggests that certain solutions to the equations of general relativity allow for tunnels through space-time, shortcuts that connect distant regions of the universe, or even connect different universes entirely. A black hole singularity might be one end of such a tunnel, with a white hole, a hypothetical object that spews out matter and energy, the time reverse of a black hole, at the other end. If this is true, then the interior of a black hole might not be a dead end at all. It might be a passageway. The matter and energy that fall into a black hole in our parent universe might not simply compress into a singularity and stop. They might pass through, emerging on the other side as the Big Bang of a new universe. The singularity would be the moment of transition, the threshold between one reality and another, the point where the old universe ends and the new universe begins. And if that is true, then we are living not just inside a black hole, but inside a wormhole. The Big Bang was not a beginning from nothing, but an emergence from something, from the collapsing matter of a star in the parent universe, funneled through the singularity, exploding outward into the new space-time of our universe. We are the other side of the collapse. We are what happens after the singularity. But if there is a wormhole at our origin, might there also be wormholes at the centers of the black holes in our universe? Might each black hole we observe be connected to another universe, with a white hole on the other side, spewing out the matter that falls into ours? And if so, might it be possible to travel through, to cross the event horizon, approach the singularity, and instead of being destroyed, pass through to another reality? This is pure speculation. The physics of wormholes is extremely uncertain, and most solutions that allow for traversable wormholes require exotic forms of matter with negative energy density, something we have never observed and may not exist. But even if traversable wormholes are impossible, the idea itself is important, because it suggests that the cosmic holes we live inside are not isolated bubbles, but nodes in a vast network, a cosmic web where universes are connected to each other through the singularities at the centers of black holes. We would not be alone then. We would be part of a community of universes, a cosmic ecosystem where realities are born from each other, connected to each other, part of a larger whole. And even if we can never travel between these universes, even if the connections are one way or too dangerous or simply impossible to navigate, the mere fact of connection matters. It means that the boundaries between universes are not absolute. It means that we are not completely sealed off from the rest of reality. It means that there are threads linking us to something larger, something beyond, something that gives context and meaning to our existence. But what if we could communicate through these connections? What if we could send messages through the singularity encoded in the matter and energy that falls into black holes in our universe, to be decoded by civilizations in the universes on the other side? What if the black holes in our sky are not just cosmic phenomena, but communication channels, mailboxes where we can leave messages for our descendants, our cosmic children, the universes we are giving birth to? This is not as absurd as it sounds. If every black hole contains a universe, and if the matter that falls into a black hole influences the initial conditions of that universe, its physical constants, its energy distribution, its structure, then by carefully choosing what we send into a black hole, we could potentially encode information in the structure of the universe it creates. We could leave a message in the cosmic microwave background, the fossil radiation from the Big Bang, visible to any civilization advanced enough to analyze it. We could write ourselves into the fabric of reality itself, ensuring that our existence is known, that our story is told, that we are remembered by the universes we create. And if we can do this, then perhaps it was done for us. Perhaps our universe contains messages from the parent universe, encoded in the patterns of the cosmic microwave background, in the distribution of galaxies, in the values of the fundamental constants. Perhaps we are not searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence in the right place. Perhaps we should be looking not at radio signals from distant stars, but at the structure of the universe itself, at the deepest patterns in the fabric of reality, for evidence that we were created intentionally, that our existence was designed, that we are part of a cosmic lineage that stretches backward through countless generations of universes. Some physicists have suggested that certain features of our universe, the precise values of constants, like the strength of gravity or the mass of the electron, are too finely tuned for life to be coincidental. They argue that these values must have been selected somehow, either by a multiverse where only universes with the right constants produce observers, or by a process like cosmological natural selection, or by deliberate design. But what if the fine-tuning is a message? What if the constants were chosen not just to allow for life, but to communicate something? A mathematical proof, a cosmic signature, a greeting from the parent universe. We would be living inside a message. Our entire reality would be a form of communication, a signal sent from one universe to another, encoded in the most fundamental structure of existence. And we, as conscious beings within this universe, would be the ones capable of reading that message, decoding it, understanding it, and perhaps responding to it by encoding our own messages in the universes we create. This is cosmic literacy, the ability to read and write the universe itself. And it suggests that the purpose of consciousness, The reason the cosmos gave rise to beings capable of asking questions and seeking answers is not just to observe reality, but to participate in it, to engage in a dialogue that spans universes, that bridges the gaps between cosmic wholes, that transforms the multiverse from a collection of isolated bubbles into a community, a conversation, a living network of minds communicating across the boundaries of existence. But what would we say if we could send a message to the universes we create? What would we want them to know? Would we warn them of the dangers we faced, the mistakes we made, the catastrophes we barely avoided? Would we share our knowledge, our science, our philosophy, our art? Would we tell them we love them, that we created them intentionally, that they are not alone? Or would we simply say, you exist? That is enough. Make of it what you will. Perhaps the answer depends on who we become, on whether we survive long enough to create black holes intentionally, to encode messages in the universes they contain, to participate consciously in the cosmic reproductive process. Or perhaps we will vanish before we reach that stage. Another failed experiment, another evolutionary dead end, our patterns erased from the cosmic record, except for the faint traces we leave in the Hawking radiation as our universe evaporates. But even if we fail, even if our civilization collapses and our species goes extinct and our universe eventually fades into darkness, we will still have existed. We will still have been part of the cosmic conversation, even if our contribution was brief, even if our voice was faint, even if no one ever heard what we had to say, because existence itself is a form of communication. Simply by being here, by creating complexity and structure and meaning, we are participating in the larger pattern. We are part of the cosmic dialogue. We are contributing to the story the universe is telling itself. And that story continues endlessly, infinitely, through the black holes that connect universes, through the singularities that birth new realities, through the event horizons that encode the history of everything that ever was. We are living inside a cosmic whole, but the whole is not empty. It is full of life, full of mind, full of questions and wonder and the aching beauty of temporary existence. And the darkness between the stars is not a void, but a canvas, a space where we can write our story, paint our visions, sing our songs into the fabric of reality itself. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps the purpose of living inside a cosmic whole is not to escape, not to reach beyond the boundaries, not to touch the parent universe or communicate with other realities or achieve some form of cosmic transcendence. Perhaps the purpose is simply to be here fully and completely, to experience this reality with all its pain and beauty and mystery, to ask the questions even when there are no answers, to create meaning even in the face of entropy and dissolution and the ultimate heat death of everything we know. We are the universe experiencing itself. We are the cosmic whole becoming aware of its own nature. We are the interior looking inward, finding not emptiness but fullness, not absence but presence, not nothingness but infinite possibility. And the question we started with, what if we've always lived inside a cosmic whole, is not a question about cosmology or physics or the structure of space-time. It is a question about identity, about belonging, about our place in the larger scheme of things. It is a question about whether we are isolated or connected, alone or part of something larger, meaningless or meaningful. And the answer is yes, all of it. We are isolated and connected. We are alone and part of something larger. We are meaningless in the vast cosmic scale and infinitely meaningful in the small scope of our own experience. We are living inside a cosmic whole that is both a prison and a womb, both an ending and a beginning, both a boundary and a portal. We are the paradox. We are the contradiction. We are the question that contains its own answer, the answer that generates new questions, the cycle that has no beginning and no end. We are home, and home is here, inside the cosmic whole, inside the mystery, inside the darkness that is not empty but full, the void that is not nothing but everything, the singularity that is not a point, but an infinite expanse of possibility unfolding moment by moment into the reality we call the universe. And we are awake, finally, impossibly, miraculously awake, looking around at the interior of our cosmic whole and realizing that it was never a whole at all. It was always whole, complete, perfect in its imperfection, infinite in its boundaries, eternal in its temporality. We are the cosmic whole, and the cosmic whole is everything, and everything is here now, always, forever. And that is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived, not a question to be answered, but a reality to be experienced, not a boundary to be crossed, but a home to be inhabited, cherished, celebrated for as long as we exist, and perhaps even longer, because we are writing ourselves into the event horizon. We are encoding ourselves into the fabric of reality. We are leaving traces that will outlast us, echoes that will reverberate through the cosmos long after our voices fall silent. We are the message. We are the signal. We are the cosmic conversation continuing across boundaries we cannot see, through connections we cannot imagine, in a language we are only just beginning to learn. And the universe is listening, not with ears, but with its entire being, not from outside, but from inside, because we are the universe listening to itself, wondering about itself, asking itself what it is and why it exists and what it will become. And the answer is still unfolding. The story is still being written. The cosmic whole is still expanding, still creating space for new possibilities, new questions, new forms of existence to emerge. We are inside. We have always been inside. And inside is where the mystery lives, where the meaning dwells, where the universe becomes aware of itself and asks, what if? What if we've always lived inside a cosmic whole? What if that is not a limitation, but a liberation? What if the boundaries that contain us are also the boundaries that define us, that give us shape and substance and significance? What if home is not a place to escape from, but a place to return to again and again in deeper and deeper ways, until we finally understand that we never left, that we were always here, that the interior and the exterior are one, that the cosmic whole and the cosmos are the same thing, seen from different perspectives, experienced from different angles, but ultimately unified in the vast, incomprehensible, infinitely beautiful mystery of existence itself. We are here. We are home. We are the cosmic whole becoming aware of itself. And that awareness is the beginning of something new, something that has been waiting to emerge since the moment the first singularity formed, the first black hole condensed, the first universe began asking itself why. The answer is here. It has always been here, hidden in plain sight, written in the darkness between the stars, encoded in the fabric of space-time, waiting for us to notice, to wake up, to realize that we are not looking for the answer. We are the answer. We are the cosmic whole. and we are whole.